Вічного вам здоров'я, маю все сьогодні бути тут. Подякую вам.
Так, надеюсь, все равно будет.
Президент України, Верховний Головнокомандувач Збройних Сил України Володимир.
If the world fails to respond when an aggressor invades its nation.
With intensified Russian aggression and the failure of the recently concluded Swiss summit to come to a common program leading Ukraine to peace, President Volodymyr Zelensky has signaled a newfound openness to peace talks with Russia, marking a significant shift in Ukraine's approach to the ongoing conflict. This move aligns with a broader strategy reminiscent of the Black Sea Grain Initiative, which saw Ukraine negotiating indirectly with Russia via the United Nations and Turkey. In an interview with the Philadelphia Inquirer, Zelensky elaborated on this approach. This model was used for the first time in the example of the grain corridor, when Ukraine negotiated not with Russia, but with the UN and Turkey, he explained. Zelensky envisions a similar trilateral agreement format for peace talks, hoping that intermediaries can bridge the gap between the two nations. This idea of peace from Zelensky comes after the recently organized Swiss Peace Summit ended without substantial progress. Most attendees to the event supported Ukraine's war effort, but battered for the fact that the absence of Russia undermined the summit's goals. With 102 delegations present, meaningful negotiations were impractical, highlighting the challenge of seeking peace without direct involvement from all primary parties. The timing of Zelensky's renewed peace proposal is crucial. This idea of having a negotiator direct the talks comes shortly after Russian President Vladimir Putin outlined his conditions for peace. Putin demands that Ukraine must not join NATO and that territories currently occupied by Russia remain under Russian control. These conditions have been a significant barrier to direct negotiations.
Ukrainian troops must completely withdraw from the Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republics, Kherson and Zaporizhzhia regions. Moreover, I draw your attention, they must withdraw from the entire territory of these regions within their administrative borders that existed at the time of their entry into Ukraine. As soon as Kyiv declares that they are ready for such a decision and begin a real withdrawal of troops from these regions, and also officially notify about the abandonment of plans to join NATO, we will immediately, literally, at the same minute order to cease fire and start negotiations.
Zelensky's openness to mediated peace talks offers a glimmer of hope for progress in resolving the conflict. Meanwhile, Toretsk, an eastern Ukrainian town, has come under intense Russian bombardment, marking a significant escalation in the conflict. Drone footage released by Ukraine's military reveals the harrowing sight of civilian casualties. The relentless strikes on Toretsk are part of Russia's intensified offensive against Ukraine, significantly impacting the town in recent days. This surge in aggression has compelled Ukrainian rescue services to urgently evacuate civilians, highlighting the ongoing humanitarian crisis. Members of the White Angels police unit have been assisting elderly residents, carrying some out of their homes on stretchers. Among the evacuees was 48-year-old Oksana Zharko, who left with her family and her cat.
A terrible situation, because for 3 days we could not evacuate. Yesterday, there was an attack, and our house was completely destroyed. Very strong, there are no walls left. Therefore, everyone is stressed, emotional, in tears, very scary.
Local officials report that powerful Russian glide bombs have struck Toretsk, a new flashpoint on the Eastern Front, as Russian attacks continue to pressure Ukrainian frontline units. President Volodymyr Zelensky revealed on Sunday that Russia had dropped more than 800 glide bombs in Ukraine over the past week. Ukraine needs the necessary means to destroy the carriers of these bombs including Russian combat aircraft, wherever they are, Zelensky wrote online. Recent Russian attacks have also targeted Chasiv Yar, further north, where Ukrainian commanders report stretched resources, exacerbated by a prolonged gap in US military assistance. Despite the approval of much-needed aid from the United States in April, Ukraine is still struggling to stabilize parts of its front line. Zelensky called on countries assisting Ukraine to further relax restrictions on using Western weapons to strike military targets inside Russia. Zelensky also urged European Union leaders to quickly deliver promised military equipment to Ukraine, following the EU's start of membership talks with his government. At an EU summit, Zelensky thanked countries for pledging equipment and stressed the urgent need to get it to Ukraine's front lines. He also called for EU support to protect Ukraine's energy systems, warning of Russia's aggressive attacks on the country's power grid.
Putin wages an all-out war against our energy sector. It's our duty to prevent Russia from setting a precedent for destroying the energy of an entire nation. If Russia succeeds, it will become part of military doctrines around the world. Energy is one of the foundations of the normal human life. We do everything we can to restore the power generation and to protect this generation, and we need a significant increase in electricity imports from the EU, as well as support with equipment and other resources to protect and restore our energy system.
Recent attacks on Ukraine's power grid have led to widespread blackouts, adding to the challenges faced by Ukrainians. Zelensky had previously made similar appeals at the Ukraine Recovery Conference in Berlin in June, seeking international help to address these critical issues.